Okay, we are live. Hello, welcome to the ADHD Roundtable. I'm Jess DuBose,
Hi.
and the Roundtable is an open roundtable discussion about ADHD to bring normalcy to neurodiversity while engaging in deep conversations and having fun. So, if you've been here before, welcome back. If you're new, thank you so much for being here today. We're gonna jump in. So, my first question, I love asking this question because everyone always has such a different answer. Um, what is your current favorite thing about your flavor of ADHD? Your current favorite thing about your flavor of ADHD.
Okay, I think I'll take it. Um, okay. Currently, only because it worked out for me and I'm not experiencing burnout in this moment, would be my hyper focus and my passion, which has gotten me in trouble in the past. So I've learned from it, and I'm so happy that I just came off of a project that really took so much work and so much. I needed to, yeah, use my drive or my passion, just so many things going on. And I was, I mean, not multitasking, but doing a lot of things at once that took a lot of energy. And it was very successful. I mean, I'll just say I just toured my one woman show is what I just did. And it was my US tour. And it was very successful. So, and I think I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't have ADHD, honestly. Um, so yes, right now that is my favorite thing. Then to my detriment in the past, but right now it's a good one.
Love. That's awesome.
Thanks.
I I'd say for me, my relatability, I feel like my experience of being able to kind of call out patterns and just really think deeply about things that I do, people do, and have the gall to kind of put that out there
Mm.
is something that I enjoy about myself. Right now in this season of understanding my ADHD. Yeah.
Awesome.
For myself, I'm still very much in the process of fighting, I guess. Maybe it's not the right word, but trying to get a diagnosis for ADHD,
Mm.
asking and seeking for help to get a diagnosis. I've been to several doctors and just recently seen a psychiatrist, and he says, no, I don't think so. I said, but I'd like to be assessed.
Hmm.
So I'm very much in that process. But without being diagnosed, I believe my flavor and what I like from my perspective is the diversity.
Mm.
Diversity that,
Mm.
you know, how quick and how spontaneous things change, and I can change. And um, my partner often says to me, how can you be talking about one thing, thinking something else, doing something at the same time? And a lot of people label me as different. And growing up, I thought there was something really wrong with that. But why am I different? What's wrong? But
Mm.
now I embrace that. I'm cool. I'm cool with different. I'm good with different. And that's my thing. I love it. I just need someone to help me with that. And like you were saying, Sam, understand that. And I think I have a right to understand that. I have the right to assistance and help to understand that. That's where I'm sitting at the moment. My neurodiversity, I believe I have a right to for assistance to help me understand it and live with it, not through it, with it, and embrace it. And all the beautiful colours that go with it. I actually recently bought a kaleidoscope because it reminds me, um, I think ADHD reminds me of a kaleidoscope, when you look there through the beautiful colours. And yeah, when I'm feeling stressed or anxious, I look at the kaleidoscope and it reminds me of all the beautiful prisms and colours and yeah, and how
Mhm.
diverse, we're all different and we're all beautiful and We need to embrace that.
Yeah.
Yes, it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Um, if you all have been following me for a while, you know this already, but if you're new to me, you know that I'm an ADHD coach who doesn't have ADHD, which is interesting. But I have my favorite things about ADHDers because they're my favorite people in the world. Um,
Right.
Today, I would say that my favorite thing is the how interesting it is to converse with somebody with ADHD. It is really
Mm.
fun to like be talking about this one thing and then move to this other thing, and then sometimes it like comes back together and sometimes it doesn't, and we just keep going in the other direction, and it's it's never boring to talk to somebody with ADHD. And I love like having my brain stimulated and intellectual conversations, and so it's really, really fun for me to talk to ADHDers all day long.
Mm.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. I love that you said that because I think that sometimes that's one of the things that could create a lot of anxiousness, I think, with
Yes.
ADHD, right? Like the power of being understood is like so important. And um, if you're always kind of shifting because of the way that your brain kind of translates and moves from topic to topic and connects things, it could be really difficult to keep up with. And I hear a lot of times people, I feel like part of my experience in the past of masking has been to like get on, the board of the person that's like neurotypical and have been trained in a neurotypical way and socialized in that way, trying to find um confidence in being the person that is kind of all over the place, but it makes complete sense. And having someone say what you said just illustrates that there's like people out there that could really enjoy that process and not find fault with it.
Mm.
Agreed. Very
Mm.
touching. Yeah, it's very touching. Definitely. And like I recently, I mean, once I realized I had ADHD, then I started looking at the people around me and in my circles. And it was interesting to see, yeah, how I'm connecting with different people and then, oh, connecting some dots, maybe. And then all of a sudden, someone over here gets an ADHD diagnosis or an autism diagnosis or, OCD 10. And I see the little connections here. And that's been a really interesting thing in my community is like, finding, yeah, the people who I can completely be myself. We can be ourselves with each other. But then again, I'm inspired hearing you, Jess, like talk about that. It's like, oh yeah, like thanks for appreciating us for who we
Yeah.
are. So yeah.
Yeah, you're
Often seems
uh,
like the appreciation comes from within the community than outside. So I think
Mm-hmm.
to say it so boldly and excitedly, it feels touching.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Totally.
Mm.
I think that's why sometimes clients work with me. Just like if we're talking about therapy, some people will find the opposite sex therapist intentionally to support them with the things that they're working through. So like if I went and found a male therapist rather than a female therapist, there's a reason for that. And sometimes people will work with me because there's a different type of healing that can happen when you're being witnessed and heard and understood from someone who doesn't have ADHD, because that's not generally the case in the world,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very reparative being affirmed by someone who doesn't share your diagnosis, but makes a huge effort to understand and be engaged with you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I love to hear people's like stories, journeys to figuring out they have ADHD, whether you have a diagnosis or not. I'm very much of the opinion that choosing to get diagnosed is a very personal experience, and there's no right or wrong answer to that. So I'd love to hear your journeys and figuring out that you have ADHD.
Can start. Yeah, I made a short film about ADHD, which came out of a quarter life crisis that I was having at 25, of feeling like it was so hard just to get through the day, but feeling like I was trying so hard to get through the day. There was just so many things that just felt like were stopping me from achieving much of anything. And so that's where the inspiration of the short film came, was it was called Trying. But when I first made the film, it actually wasn't about ADHD. It was autobiographical about myself. I had just been diagnosed with anxiety and depression. So I was doing more research about the brain, about my experience, looking at my family, being like, what's going on there? Um, and so the original version of the script, though, it was about a woman with depression who was grieving, the loss of her father, which my father is very much alive. And I was like, this story does not feel like it's clicking. It's not right. So I threw the whole script away and I was doing research about my character's characteristics, which were based on myself, about how she's very passionate, very creative, but it was hard for her to do certain things or feel like she's crazy or stupid. And what ended up happening was I saw an attitude article about women with ADHD. And I looked at the traits of my character and the traits of a woman with ADHD, and they were a perfect match. And so a light bulb went off in my head. I was like, oh my God, this film is going to be about a woman with ADHD. And this was back in 2021. So it was kind of before the big TikTok boom of ADHD too. So it was like there wasn't a lot of information about it. So I felt very called to share the story. So I played the character, we shot the film, and a year and a half later, a friend of mine had watched the film and she was like, Sam, it's crazy that you don't have ADHD, because I didn't know. I was just a woman who had been diagnosed with depression and anxiety. So it's crazy that you don't have ADHD because you're telling me all of your experiences making the film and about your family and your upbringing and all these things you have going on. And it sounds like you might have ADHD. And she had just been diagnosed with ADHD herself. And for some reason, like she was the first person to ever say that to me. And I had little inklings here and there, but people around me kind of were like, no, you're just, really caught up in the filmmaking of it. You're just, you're getting caught up in the story, but it's not real. And I was like, yeah, that's crazy. So that was in New York. As soon as I got back home from that trip with seeing my friend, I was very lucky to get an assessment done, and I got diagnosed and I realized I had ADHD. And it was a really, really wild emotional journey, because I had just spent the last year and a half of my life making sure everybody knew that I didn't have ADHD. I was just an ally, an advocate making this film. So it was really, really hard for me to wrap my head around the fact that I did have ADHD after telling everyone in my life I didn't, and myself for so long. So there was a big identity crisis and a big overhaul of just like myself and who I am. And it totally set me on this huge like self-discovery journey. And so that was about 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, or oh wow, yeah, coming up on 3 years ago now, which is wow, crazy. And it's completely changed my life, and I'm so grateful to be here. And now the film has a whole new meaning for me because it's, oh, it's actually about me. Okay, got it. Versus just a community that I was wanting to, support and uplift. So that's my journey. That was kind of long. Thanks for listening. Just kind of a crazy turn of events. So it's like, wow. Yeah.
Oh,
That's an
right
incredible journey.
amount of time.
And for anyone who has not seen the video that Sam is referring to, the film, I'll make sure I put the link below because it is a very incredible film.
What is
Thanks,
the
Jess.
name of it? What is the name of it?
It's called Trying. Just
Trying.
Trying. Yeah, even just my name, Trying ADHD short film with my name, you'll find it. I'm very fortunate that during ADHD month last year, I presented the film at the International ADHD conference, and it went viral here on YouTube. So it's been a really exciting journey of like harnessing a community of ADHDers who were like, we're all trying. So it's been really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So good.
Thanks.
Who wants to share next?
I could go.
Yeah.
It's been I'm trying to like get all my thoughts together, guys. I think that the issue that I'm like sitting with right now, even trying to collect all the bits and pieces of information throughout the years is a little bit overwhelming. But I actually did talk about this as one of like my formative like posts on social media, and part of what um, I talked about was the fact that I had gone through all the way up until like pretty much like 38, not knowing. And what that means for me is that I had been in school my entire life. So I went straight through from kindergarten all the way through to my doctoral program at Columbia. Um, and had no idea.
Mm,
Um, yeah. And so I always had the experience sometimes even of talking and feeling like a lot of like anxiousness like in my body and my chest, having experiences of knowing the answers in school, but like being nervous as I started to develop more like language, like inner language, like kind of coming outward of being very careful about like how I presented like what I needed to say. And so that would often cause anxiety. And so much like you, Sam, like I think the diagnosis of anxiousness and well, the anxiety was very like prevalent. And what I've come to like find out later on is that some of the anxiety existed in and of itself, but it was also like related to the fact that I had undiagnosed ADHD. So
mhm.
when I might stay up at night, like replaying like things that I've said, that I've meant to kind of say, but maybe didn't mean to say a certain way. And, um, being concerned about how things might be perceived. The other
Mhm.
element of me being like a Black academic, Black female academic, and wanting to um, present myself a certain way. I've always been very confident in my ability to be um, super intellectual and all that stuff, but the feelings of anxiousness that would come about and the experience of feeling very emotionally attuned to others and even myself. Even the type of therapy that I initially practiced was very much heavy psychodynamic and very emotion focused because I felt so strongly about the importance of really being able to support people in that way and not wanting to do more of the cognitive behavioral things. It's switched now, I think, specifically having the diagnosis of ADHD because I understand that when I'm working with clients or even myself, that I have to intervene at the point of performance. Like you could know what to do, but it's really difficult to do so. You could
Mm.
know like cool it and not say anything, but it could be really difficult to like not be impulsive and say some certain things. So I would often have experiences like throughout my, especially like young adult life where I would just be very hard on myself in terms of what I might say. And interestingly enough, people would hear me and they wouldn't feel that way, but I would be very like uh, you know, um, hard on the way that I like would present myself. And so it wasn't until about like 2019, 2020, like right before like COVID, that I had been working at a location with another colleague of mine, another Columbia grad, and that person had expressed to me that they had ADHD and that some of the ways that I might behave reminded them that I likely might have it.
Mm.
At the time, I had gotten like the diagnosis from a psychiatrist of like anxiety. And interestingly enough, what was happening was I come from a community where like medication around mental health, even as a practitioner, was still a little bit challenging. So I remember like fighting with my therapist, and he's like, "Oh, I think you should maybe go and see a psychiatrist to can get some support for your anxiety because it feels like it might be really interfering with your quality of life." And I was like, "Man, all she's going to tell me is things I know. Like I'm in this profession. Like I know I got anxiety. I don't need to take, you know." Um, and we agreed that I would try it out, right? So I'm trying it out, but I'm having a hard time remembering to take the meds. And of course, my therapist, good on him, is just like, you sure this is not like just a little bit of resistance? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, yes, that's likely, but I really think I'm just struggling with I don't have like a set schedule of how I wake up. I just, everything is just kind of fly by the seat of my pants. And that's how I think for the most part, lived my entire existence. I remember even being in grade school and having language, like I was telling Sam before we started, where when I really reflect on some of the things that I would talk about, the language that I would use, I would actually be describing ADHD in plain sight without
Mm.
the actual label. I would say I can't do multiple things at the same time. When it's time for me to sit down and like do work, I'd get an A on the report, but it would just be something that I do my best work last minute. Just things that we would say and that work out in our favor that still like let you progress this far in life, like literally past like 30 something years, almost damn near 40 before realizing, oh, like, trying to maybe say and listen to someone without like interrupting took a lot of concerted effort. Just like some of these things that I now look for and validate in even clients that I see, because there's a lot of these things that are really quite clear to me. I think from the information that I get from other people and my own experience. So back to what I was saying, certain things like looking, I would call it the dictionary effect when I was in school, because one of the things that was helpful for me was that I actually had a big fixation on learning. And I was just really always hunting for knowledge. So I would go in the dictionary because I wanted to like write certain things and make sound super smart. And I would go and look for a word, but then I would get distracted by the words next to it. So I'd be learning about different animals. And so I would always call it like, oh, the dictionary effect, because I'd veer off a lot. And so when I really kind of started to reflect on all of these things, it became very clear. So how I actually ended up getting diagnosed was kind of like circumstantial. It was like a symptom that like was kind of occurring because of the anxiety, and then also a friend of mine that had it kind of was suggesting that maybe that was the case. And then I went ahead and like got a formal diagnosis from the psychiatrist, but then I went and worked with a psychologist as a part of a ADHD group, and did the assessments. And it was like at that point I already knew. I like it was no doubt because I had also been myself doing assessments, but it's just nice to kind of have the experience of having it verified by someone outside of myself, because I don't want to be super biased. But that was like my road to that. And so now it's been about, I think, 5 years since I've had it, and I've had a lot of passion for understanding it, and a lot of a desire to help other people like navigate that. I think I started to do more work around the emotional like reactions from the diagnosis, like what it's like to kind of like live your entire existence, feeling like something is a little bit off and trying to explain it, and people being like, "Oh, you're fine," but they might say like, "Oh, you just need to do X, Y, and Z." And because I'd always been interested in motivation, generally speaking, as a psych major, I think now I understand specifically why I'd been always interested in it, because I was trying to figure out myself that entire time.
Mm,
Mm,
mm. Powerful.
very.
Very powerful.
Yeah.
Mm.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Um, Lara, you shared a little bit about not getting a diagnosis yet, but what had led you to that point?
Mm. I resonate with both what Sam and Keva, is it Keva?
Yeah.
Keva? Keva.
Mhm.
Keva is saying, I was, yeah, it's just so good to be around people that experience the same. Like growing up, I was the little girl at school that learnt everything really quickly. And, then I got in trouble. Like if you look at my reports, Lara learns everything very quickly, but then is disruptive in class because then I
Mm,
talk, right? And then I'd always be in trouble or looking out the window, and I'd often say, but I learned it. I learned it. And you were talking about it, Kevin, about being intelligent. So, but I learned that. Why do I have to wait for 30 other people in my class to learn it? Um, I've learned this. I know what to do. And what I found myself, I'll get to what you asked in a minute, Jess, but what I found myself doing through life, and I think you touched on it briefly, Keva, is I've dumbed myself down most of
Mm.
my
mm.
life
Oh,
because I know and I was just talking to my partner about it the other day. I know I'm intelligent. I know I know the answer to things, but because of the system and the school system I was brought up in, I didn't, it was frowned upon. I don't know what it is in the States, but in Australia, we've got this saying, tall poppy syndrome. Do you know what that is?
Mm.
mm-mm.
So if you imagine a garden, for instance, and all the flowers are in the garden, and you dare pop up and be a bit taller flower than one of the other flowers in the garden, in Australia, they'll cut you back down really quick. They'll cut your head, they'll just cut the top off your flower to bring you
Mm,
back down in the weeds. And that's what I've done most of my life, is just dumbed myself down. And I was thinking about it yesterday before I did my keynote, and how much, what happens when you dumb yourself down so much is that that's how you live. You're too
mm,
scared to answer. And like Kiva was saying, and you said it too, Sam, is you second, before you speak, you second guess it. What will I answer here? What am I going to answer? So I don't look like I'm, who, like I'm outshining someone else. And it's energetically draining, right? Emotionally, physically, mentally. You spend your life, I think you said it, Sam, tired and trying all day. You're trying. And I know when I worked in corporate, by 5 o'clock, you're just energetically zapped,
Mm.
right? You've just tried. I just need to get through today. If I can get through today, I'll be okay. If I can get
mm,
through this week and get to the weekend, I should be okay. And spending your life like that is just exhausting. And you
mhm,
know that there's something. I used to think, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with me. I'm just wired a little bit different to someone else. Not wrong, not right, just different. So that's, I think, to answer your question, Jess, that's what led me to think there's never been anything wrong with me. But I, in my heart, around the nasty girl at school, well, who do you think you are? You're no better than anyone else. So then you shrink back into, well, I better not get better grades than them. So then you start hanging around the cool kid. I started hanging around the cool kids, um, and getting a bit naughty and doing things like that because I didn't want to be, hanging around the square kids, or and the kids that look too intelligent, because that's not cool. They're not cool.
mm,
So you find yourself, I think, as you were saying, Kiva, you get to 30, 40 years later and go, wow, how much haven't I been myself?
Yeah. Yeah.
How much
oh
have I
yeah.
sacrificed? How much have I sacrificed? How much have I self-sabotaged? How much have I how much, how much have I not been myself? And it's energetically draining.
Yeah.
And I think you were saying it, Kiva, I was like, oh, did you understand what I said? You say to people, did you understand what I said? Did I make sense there?
Oh yeah.
Because, yeah, am I making sense, or is it just, am I doing Lara talk? Yeah, all that kind of thing. So that's what led me to, again, not that I think something's wrong, I just need help in working with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And putting my energy into working best for me, how I can get the best and the most out of each and every day for myself, and where to put my energy, and not have to second guess everything when I go to bed of a night. Oh, did that person understand me right today, the way they looked at me? Or, yeah, things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Because I know what I
Totally.
mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't think people know what I mean.
Yeah. I
Hmm.
used to work at a college counseling center, and I would do presentations, and we would often like present to students, and I would often hear we would talk a lot about like social anxiety, and one of the things that like was usually like the telltale is like I always ask that question, and I think it came from hearing it from other like students, but also my own experiences, but I never like put ADHD with it, because I think up until and like being like older, like I knew about ADHD, but there was no need to like get into any of that. Like there's a lot of that experience, I think, around so many elements of like mental health, and ADHD is a cognitive health related thing that could have severe impacts on your mental health, right? But I'd be doing work with like students, and we talk about like a lot of the social anxiety, like the shrinking, the being concerned about like how you've said something, feeling dumb afterwards. And never did I like get the chance to kind of talk about the impulsivity that happens, and maybe that being a part of what creates some social anxiety for some people, because they, may go off on tangents, or they may relate something very differently. Somebody might start saying something, they start singing a song, or and then it's like, oh, is that so cringe, I embarrassing thing. And just being able to give voice to that, and have people kind of recognize that and say, oh, this is related to this thing, and you're actually like in good company with other people. Here's what we could do to like maybe help you feel less bothered by it. Do you want to like, stop that behavior, or do you want to embellish it? Do you want to accept it? But there's just so many little ways that it hides in plain sight. And I think that, Laura, what you were saying, like I felt like so bothered by the experience that you've talked about, because I've heard other people have experiences where they may go to look for diagnosis, and it could be the thing that really helps give people a sense of peace, you know.
Mm, exactly.
Hmm.
Brings some peace to that restlessness behavior, that, which
Yeah,
then often gets misdiagnosed for anxiety, right?
yeah, yeah,
General anxiety disorder.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I've often wondered, if I had my time again, um, I just knew I didn't fit into the mainstream school system.
Oh.
Like, do you have Montessori over in America, or Rudolf Steiner School? Yeah, like,
Hmm.
people laugh over here and go, "Oh, free range kids, chooks running around and strum the guitar." But, I think there's a lot to be said for it. I think it brings out creativity, and I think it's just beautiful. I think there needs to be, I mean, it's probably a long way off, but with more work and more people getting into maybe the school systems, that, we can get in there and help, not helps, probably not the right word, but enhance and embrace, neurodiversity in schools, and um, the next generation grow up embracing neurodiversity, instead of, you're different, or, it took everything for me to sit in a school chair. I just wanted to get up and move and dance, and, you
Yeah.
know,
Mm.
expel some energy.
Yeah.
That's why I stared out the window and my report card said Lara stares out the window, because I learnt that 2 days ago. We're still going over that. And I still to this day, have a problem sometimes if I've got to ask someone to do something twice or if I've got to learn it twice. It's just how it is. I learnt that. Maybe that's impatience, maybe whatever, but it's just how my brain works.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I imagine can feel lonely and ostracizing to be so exceptional, because that's often what ADHDers are exceptional. Like very intelligent, very creative, very like able to problem solve and find patterns really quickly. That's why I often advocate ADHD being a superpower, because it is. And any person who has superhuman abilities, right? Like we watch all these superhero movies, and on the internet, it's taboo sometimes to say that ADHD is a superpower, because they're like, well, you're not talking about my challenges. I'm like, no, do you watch superhero movies? They all have crazy challenges. They have crazy ass challenges. And they just show the montage of where they learn how to hone their superpowers, but it takes 2 minutes in the movie. But in real life, it could take months, years, like to hone in your and like rein them in to be able to work for you instead of against you, right? And that's exactly what ADHDers are often doing. And to find other people who get it can be really, really magical. So I love witnessing you guys relate to one another right now. It's really, really beautiful. And oh, okay. So one of the things that ADHDers have challenge with is something called time blindness, which you might know or may not know, but those who don't know what time blindness is, essentially, ADHD struggle with the concept of time. Yes, I have one right behind me.
Yeah.
So cute. I am
Oh,
behind the curve. I gotta catch up.
It's called a visual
Man,
timer, Sam.
I know, genius.
Um,
Genius.
Yeah, so the concept of time is very ethereal. It's not something tangible for ADHDers. 10 minutes and 2 years are the same thing in their brain. There's no difference. But people who are neurotypical don't understand this. They're like, "What do you mean? You can't figure out it's been about 10 minutes?" Like, no. And actually, I am advocating that that can be a really beautiful thing, because I think then ADHDers are actually really present in what they're doing, um, which is so beautiful. But living in a world where time matters in a lot of ways, it can be really challenging. So I would love to hear some of the things that you've figured out to support yourself with the time struggles.
I got take it, Lara.
I turn up to everything. I have to, because I know otherwise. I turn up to everything half an hour to 15 minutes early, and exhausting as that is. I've tried, yeah, yeah. It, my partner and people just you're weird, but as you know, as you were saying, Jess, otherwise I get into something and time just flies by. But for me, I have to know that I have to be super early. That's what works for me.
Yeah. You were early to this call. It was awesome.
Mm.
Mm.
I got up
Amazing.
early.
That's
Yeah. Because I
Wow.
can't cope
awesome.
with something going. I can't go if something goes wrong. Like yeah. Well, I can cope, but yeah, I need to be able to take the steps. Yeah, yeah.
I love that. I think I move in that direction, but I've actually started to get better and better at getting the places like what I call sometimes ADHD on time, where it's like maybe like 5 minutes off or but there's a guy, a psychologist, Ari Tuckerman, he actually really did such a great job of like explaining the way that we feel time. I
Mm.
I could kind of get a sense of like the time. I've gotten better at being able to like feel it more accurately. I think because I've done things like have like watches like or clocks all around me to externalize like the time. I'll set many alarms. Like I had done a TikTok on this as well, like using the time timer using like breaking up, like kind of reversing things, like going backwards, and and playing with the concept of time in a way that really also like helps to support the part of my brain that really loves the challenge. Like I don't even like shy away from it. I am gonna always still go towards the challenge, even though I may not do so well with it. But I have to be on time for a lot of things related to like clients. One of the things that has been really helpful is, just being in a space of accepting how my brain works, and to the extent that I can, advocating for myself, and maybe also um, trying to, just go with the flow, but not too much where it's so off. I think the issue with time sometimes has more like of a detrimental experience for me when it's like things in terms of projects, like
Mm.
like being able to like organize and that kind of stuff. But when it's coming to like getting out the house, I'm so much better at that, I think, because of the way that I use the timer, the way that I use different alarms. I make it like a part of my experience. And so it's helped me get closer and closer and closer to being on time, maybe 5, 10 minutes early, so on and so forth. Like before we got on the call, I wanted to like do something, make something real quick. I set 3 minutes on my little clock and I did it, got in the office, and I was here
Mm.
basically on time. So I
Nice.
I need the challenge.
Mm. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a challenge for me. I'm doing this. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I am inspired by you all. I am not that far on my time blindness journey. I am still I mean, honestly, okay, something that I realized is I spend a lot of my time alone. I live alone, I work alone, I'm my own boss. I don't really answer to really anybody, and I set everything myself. And it is a huge challenge, huge challenge because I'm not held accountable really to anything but myself. Um, so I just recently changed my clocks back 10 minutes or forward 10 minutes. And I actually did it on my phone too. I just changed it back, but it was actually helpful on my phone too, like changing it to 10 minutes, like, because even that extra 10 minutes helped me. And then in my schedule, I put every event either as 10 minutes earlier, or I put the scheduled event time as the time I need to arrive or be there versus the event start time. Because if I see the start time, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll get there at 7. No, no, you need to be at the microphone at 7. So you can't get there at 7. So honestly, it's also something that I'm navigating, especially coming out of the pandemic, because my life before the pandemic was very different. I was very active. I was serving, I was auditioning, I was working with other people, but now, a lot of my stuff is in my home and it's just me. So it's very different. I will say though, this giant whiteboard that I bought, life changer. Yeah. And I made this little side, you can kind of see each little paper there is a different month of this year, and it's my whole tour schedule. So the first month was pre-production, and then the next month was crowdfunding, and the next month was, selling tickets, and then I'm traveling. And to see them visually, like, and see when the deadlines are happening on a physical calendar was really helpful for me, because when I was making my short film Trying, it was not that way. I had no idea how long anything took. I mean, it was my first time producing something like that, but I had no idea like when things had to be done in order for the next thing to be done. So I really learned from that, and having the visual reminder that I see literally every day with countdowns too. I put 8 days until this, 0 days until, whatever, was really helpful for me, because it's like, okay, I can't just trust that it's going to happen. Like, I have to get this done in 5 days. I don't, because so the time blindness can also be like days, weeks, months for me. If something's too far out, it feels like, oh, I have so much time. And it's like, oh, actually, no, you have 3 days to get to the next phase. And if you don't do that, then you might not be in time 6 months from now or whatever. Um, So yeah, that's been very helpful for me on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
I love those tips.
Mm.
Thanks.
I forgot about that. My mom used to do that, and now it makes me
Mm.
wonder, like she might have known something about ADHD. Always do that thing with the clock as well. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Wow, totally. I know, same. That's great.
Um, there is no one size fits all for ADHD, as you can already tell by listening to these beautiful humans here. One of the things that I often work with clients of is like scheduling the buffer time. So it's like, okay, I
Mm,
have to be at this event, so that means I need 30 minutes to get out the door and in the car and park and then arrive. And so you schedule the travel time or schedule buffering time or whatever it is, put it actually in the calendar if the calendar is
mm,
something that you actually use and it works for you.
hmm
Um, the other thing with tasks in particular, um, anything that you think is going to take X amount of time, it's probably going to take you 2 to 3 times longer than you think it is.
mm,
But
Mm.
conversely, anything that you think is going to take forever is probably going to take you 10 minutes.
mm.
Mm.
Totally.
That's the kind of the rule of thumb I keep sharing with my clients because it's like, oh yeah, the thing you've been avoiding because it's boring or awful or you're feeling anxious about it because that email that's been sitting in your inbox for the last 72 hours and is nagging at you this whole time. And you're like, oh, it's going to take so much effort for me to do this. It's actually only going to take you 10 minutes to respond. But cleaning out your closet isn't going to take you 20 minutes. It's probably going to take you 2 hours.
hmm Totally. So
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
hmm
Buffer time is a real, yeah. The transition. Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
Yeah, yeah.
hmm
Um, Tell us a little bit who you are. Who you are, what you do, shamelessly plug whatever you would like to this beautiful community of ADHDers.
Yeah.
Are
Here,
you
yeah.
going to Sam?
Sure. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Let's do it. Yes, I'm Sam Labrecque. I am an actor, and I've also been a filmmaker and a director and a writer. I've done, I'm a comedian, do lots of things in the performance art space. That's kind of my world. Um, yeah, and I made my short film Trying, which you can watch here on YouTube. It's 14 minutes long. You can watch it on 2 times speed if you need, for all our ADHDers. And I just took my existential comedy solo musical, Sam, on its national tour that I wrote, directed, produced, performed. I did it at comedy venues across America, and I'm located in LA here. So I do the whole acting creative director thing here. So yeah, that's me.
Very cool.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm Lara Portelli. I'm in Australia and I work predominantly with women entering into their new phase of life. So I don't like to call it midlife crisis. I call it midlife clarity. So I
Ooh.
must midlife clarity, yes.
Love.
So I had a big turning point when I turned 50, quite a few years ago now. And yeah, life has changed for me dramatically. I left my marriage of nearly quarter of a century. I took that first leap, and the steps, it was nothing like I thought. I think we were talking about time. Sometimes you think what's going to take you 2 hours took you 10 minutes. Sometimes, 10 minutes, 2 hours. I had no idea on the journey that was in front of me.
Mm.
And it wasn't all roses and unicorns and bubbles. And it wasn't all bad either, but it was definitely a journey. So that's what my business is around now, walking alongside women transitioning into their second act. Because I
Mm.
often say that we draw the curtain sometimes on the first act, and it's not as scary as people think, but um, it's transitioning into menopause, and it's not that scary, and divorce. And I've got a book coming out in the next 2 or 3 weeks. It's got a bit of a colourful title, but it's pretty much 50, divorced, and what now? So yeah, that's my book coming up. So yeah, author, international best-selling author, mentor, and speaker. That's me. I'm in Australia. As I
I
said.
like colorful language and title. What's the actual title?
It's 50, divorced, fuck what now? Now what? Now what? What do I do now? Because that's what it was. It's a bit of a guide,
Mhm.
and yeah, a couple of activities in there, and it's a series of books, but that's the first one coming out. So yeah, there'll be a book tour probably, and yeah, what's happening?
Mm.
Watch this space. So
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah, thank you
Love
for
it.
that swear opportunity.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm Dr. Keva Hall. I am a licensed clinical psychologist with lived experience as a ADHD, a late identified, late diagnosed ADHDer. And I work primarily in New York doing clinical work, but I also provide coaching nationwide. Right now, I'm working primarily with like millennials, zennials, um, some Z's, and, Xers, as well, who have any issues with like anxiety, depression. I am doing specific works around ADHD therapy, related therapy in terms of like doing diagnosis, doing assessments. I also do work around the process of like understanding, like doing work around teaching and advocating for uh, ADHD. I help clients understand and navigate the experience with ADHD, especially the emotions that may come with it, the frustrations. And I do that actually in my work, therapeutic work, but I also do elements of that within my coaching as well, to diversify the offerings nationwide. Because right now, as a psychologist, I can only legally and ethically work with people within the state. So there's that. Um, right now, I consider myself a clinical creator in that I still do
Mm.
clinical work, but also I'm trying to push out information around ADHD, the importance of getting diagnosed, the importance of moving through the process of like accepting ADHD, and being able to be your own best advocate around how you'd like to be treated, and how you can learn to better treat and advocate for your own treat your how you learn to better treat yourself as someone navigating your new understanding of ADHD and be able to advocate for yourself.
Hmm.
Love
That
it.
makes-
Mhm.
I'm Jess DuBose, and I'm an ADHD coach and a speaker and an author. And I help ADHDers get out of their own way so they can live the life they say they want to be living. And I do that in a myriad of ways. I have a group coaching program called Magic, Magnificent ADHDers Growing in Community. I also work with clients one-to-one in like a coaching container. But the thing I really want to talk about right now is I launched a digital course a couple months ago called Rest Like a Rebel, the 7 types of rest for ADHDers who don't want to sit still.
Mm.
Because rest doesn't have to be just sleeping or sitting still. And rest is also mandatory,
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
right? Like you cannot get away from rest, but you can do rest in lots of different ways. And so the whole course is geared for ADHD brains, so none of the videos are more than 5 minutes. And it gives you like little chunks of things to be able to support, like, what is this type of rest? How do I rest this way? Here's some rest experiments to try. And then I gave my inner critic a name. Her name is Crafty Bitch. And so Crafty Bitch makes an appearance and gives you a little message about each of the different types of rest. So I'll make sure the link is below after we are done, but you can also go to my website, justdubose.com, and find Rest Like a Rebel there. It's $67 for the digital course, but also if know thyself, if you need support in making sure you actually use the course, there's lots of different ways to sign up to do that as well, whether it's with a coaching plan with me or even within the menu, you can sign up for 30 days of text messages from Crafty Bitch to nudge you to get into the course and support you in getting through it. Because I know ADHDers will download all kinds of things and sign up for courses and then not actually do them. So I'm trying to set it up in a way that actually will benefit you working through it.
Yeah. I forgot to
Oh,
plug my site. It's
yeah.
drkevahall.com.
Awesome. Amazing.
Nice.
If you all are watching this, it sounds like Lara, Dr. Keva, and Sam are all kind of in this transition period where a lot of things are about to pop off. So make sure you start like following them on their socials so you can see when the book comes out or when the next show is or when, make sure you're following them so that you can follow along on their journeys. Because I think what's about to happen in all of your worlds is going to be really, really fucking cool.
Got goosebumps. Let's go.
Yeah. life into it for us. Yeah.
Okay. Last question. Unfortunately, because we're like running out of time for today. If you were going to give a piece of advice or encouragement to someone who is working through accepting they have ADHD or just on the journey of the challenges of ADHD, what is something you would share with them?
I'll go. I'm like getting emotional just thinking about it. Because I think about my journey of realizing I had ADHD. I'm like, wow, because so much of my life I felt, for me at least, I felt that I was stupid. I was not intelligent. And that I was like crazy. Like the way that I thought, the way that I spoke, the way that I moved through the world, and all the things I could do, but really all the things that I couldn't do. I just felt crazy. Like, and I guess I would say, like, you're not stupid. You're not crazy. And also, you're not alone. You are not alone, and you will never be alone. You are you are smart, you are skilled, you are talented, you are you have there is community out there. It is possible. And like you can live a beautiful, fruitful life just as you are. So that's what I would say.
I would say what I've recently learned as well, and I forgot to mention earlier that I think is important, is I know for myself is give your limbic brain a rest because I find myself wanting to be in fight. I'm not wanting to be. It's a natural. I've learned over the years working with my psychologist as well too that I'm constantly in this fight or flight. Do I stay and explain? Do I want to run? I can't be bothered. It's too hard. Give yourself a chance. Breathe. Assess the situation you might be in. And sometimes I know for myself, I blame myself and I'm very hard on myself as well. Like, did I get that wrong? What did I miss? Even with the link last night, Jess, did I miss the link? I emailed Jess last night. I said, did I accidentally delete the message? I can't find it. Must be me. Oh, is this me stressed? Is this me, yeah. Me, I've done something wrong. It's not always on us and we don't always get it wrong. Go easy on yourself. Give that limbic part of your brain a bit of a breather, as we say in Australia, a bit of a rest, and believe in yourself and keep going. And like Sam was saying, find community. And I think good community because, there's a lot of community out there on social. And I know that's probably part of my ADHD. I get in so many communities. Like if you see my communities, someone commented once, you're in so many communities because you're searching. Yeah. So, and then you become more stimulated because, did I comment in that group? Did I support them? So believe in yourself a bit too, and a bit of faith in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to make sure I like heard your question. You asked if there was anything that we would any advice that we would give to others that might be coming upon this new like realization around their ADHD.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so many things. I probably say the summary is that you are, fearfully and wonderfully made, that you are exactly where you need to be, and that you will be able to find people who respect you, honor you, and um, enjoy your presence, Nothing that you could ever do is that awful, that it can't be reimagined as something beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Oh, okay. This is a thing that I have not said yet before, and I'm really excited. It's coming together right now in this moment. Um, the encouragement I would have is try the simple tool. Oftentimes, I've watched this with ADHDers, they'll
Mm-hmm.
see a simple tool and they'll be like, oh, that's too easy. It can't work.
Mm-hmm.
It's too easy. There's no way that's going to work. Or
Literally.
they read it and like, oh, yeah, I got that. But then they don't actually do it. So the simple tool, like
Yes.
taking a deep breath, like moving your body, like saying something kind to yourself. All of these tools are very simple, but actually implementing and them using them could be massively effective. Now,
Mm-hmm.
just because they're simple doesn't mean they're easy.
That's true.
Just because it's
Totally.
simple doesn't mean it's easy. But
Yeah.
try the simple tool and see. And it's a try, like you trying it on. It may or may not work for you because there is no one size fits all. So you have to test, tweak, and polish, figure
Mm-hmm.
out what things work actually for you. But my advice right now would be to try the simple tool.
Mm-hmm.
That's solid. I
Totally.
I could appreciate. I have a story time about that where when I had just gotten the diagnosis with my psychiatrist who was amazing. She was like, "Do you like write things down?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got it all up here." No, I think that had been like the way that I had operated before. And I would say that like 50-50 or maybe 30% of the time I would maybe forget, but I'd be mostly good. And it's almost like you want to do the more difficult thing because for it to be as simplified as writing it down, first off, it also requires you to take a pen out, a book. Like you just think about all these additional steps, but it really is a good practice. And you're so right about the simple tools. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like you deliberately are like, no, I want things to be like really hard because that's how I know that I'm,
Mm-hmm.
doing things
Well,
at
and
not.
we're taught often that like the things that are hard means that you're going to succeed. And so it has to be hard in order to
Mm.
be able to
Yes.
win or feel successful
Yeah.
or whatever. But being an exceptional ADHDer means that there's a lot of stuff that's not going to be hard for you that is hard for other people. So stop making all the other stuff hard for yourself. You're just punishing yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Literally. I'm learning this right now.
We
Literally.
overcomplicate it,
Yeah,
Hmm.
totally.
Yeah.
literally.
Ah,
It's not
okay.
hard enough. It's not hard enough. Got to make it hard. So I
Yeah,
feel
I know.
intelligent. I've worked out that problem. I can work that out because I'm intelligent, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
Because I need to feel intelligent. I need to use
Yeah.
my brain because I know I can use it.
Yeah. There's
Yep,
that
that
piece,
sounds
and then
right.
there's that piece, and then there's also the piece that needs that stimulation, almost that challenge. And so,
Yeah.
the notion of not playing yourself is really important. And I think I'm hearing loud and clear what you're saying, Jess, in terms of like, there's no shame in it, it's almost like it's proof work. I almost feel like you feel like you have to do proof work in order for it to make it make sense. And you're saying you don't have to prove anything necessarily. Just take the win, take the easier or the more simplified way, and you'll still win. You don't have to make things like immensely hard for it to be worth it.
Hmm.
Mm.
Totally.
Mm,
I'm internalizing.
yay. Okay. Everyone I would invite you to take a deep breath right now. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate all of you. Those of you who are watching the right now live or the replay, thanks for being here. I'll make sure all the links are below so you can connect with anyone that's here, and start following their journey or chat with them or reach out if you want to connect for support. Have a wonderful day, everyone.